the van. Later on, we made a video to post on OnlyFans. Then we ran it through the gap.
What's up, YouTube? It's your girl, Oh My Melanie, and I'm back in this thing with another video. What's going on, y'all? I'm back in this thing with another video or whatever. And today, as y'all see that title, we're getting into Storytime Saturday. And yeah, this is the story time that y'all asked for on Instagram. Speaking of which, if you do not follow my Instagram, I'm gonna put it on the screen down below. Make sure you follow me on all social medias. And also go ahead and subscribe now while you're at it. I'm gonna give y'all a few seconds. Alright, y'all should be good now.
I don't know if y'all can hear my air conditioning in the back because it's kind of stuck and I need to have some type of circulation going on in this bitch or else my makeup gonna sweat off. So bear with me. I'm trying to talk loud to make sure y'all hear me.
So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this video. Today is about the time that the cops caught us. And yeah, they caught us doing a nasty, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it. This was a few years ago because as y'all know, I am almost 6 years single. In 2 weeks, I'll be 6 years single. So yeah, this was about 6 years ago. Had to be, because it was my last relationship. So yeah, as y'all know, that relationship was super toxic or whatnot. Comment down below if y'all want more information on my toxic domestic violence type situation, because it was a lot. But yeah, we did have some good times in there. So this is one of the good times because, you know, we was doing the nasty, and I love to do the nasty.
Boy, if you don't get...
No, but for real. So this is what happened. At the time, my boyfriend, he did not have no place to stay.
Huh?
Oh my God. But nah, like, I'm the definition of a writer for real, because I stuck by this man through it all. Like, he had an apartment, lost the apartment, whatnot, and I was still there like a dummy. So,
oh, dumb bitch.
he ended up staying in the hotel. That's perfectly fine or whatever. I mean, everybody goes through some shit. So he was staying in a hotel, but it wasn't his hotel. It was his parents' hotel because their house had ended up getting flooded or some shit. So they had to stay in a hotel. And he ended up losing his apartment, so he was staying in the hotel with them. So, of course, we can't do the nasty in a hotel with his parents or whatnot. So I pulled up to the hotel, minding my business, looking fine as fuck. And originally it was just me coming over to see him because, like I said, we didn't stay with each other at this point. So it was like we had to see each other when we can. So it had to be around, it was after midnight. I'm not sure exactly what time, but it was after midnight. And we was on the phone and he was like, I miss you, I want to see you. And my dumb ass got out the bed and went over there to see him. So I pulled into the hotel parking lot and they stayed in this ratchet ghetto hotel, and the police was always over there type shit. So I came or whatever because he was like, I want to see you. So I'm like, okay, you can see me, and we was about to smoke. So I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and come over or whatnot because it's my boyfriend. Like, I came over or whatnot, and I parked my car and got into his car. He was like in a bagged in parking spot, so you know, like, we could see what the fuck going on. So we was just sitting up in there talking or whatnot, you know, just all in love, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we was in the car having a good conversation, smoking our weed, minding our fucking business. And he's like, can I get some head? And I'm like, alright. so yes, I proceed to, you know, do my thing or whatnot, and he was just all into it. He was supposed to be on lookout, but he was not on lookout because obviously shit was too good. He couldn't focus. So he had his eyes closed and shit. And neither one of us is looking because obviously I'm occupied. So I'm not motherfucking paying attention to who coming. That's your job, nigga. He let us down. He fucking let us down. I did what I was supposed to do, y'all. And then, you know, it was getting good. So he was like, we finna do some shit up in the car. And everybody done did some shit in the car. Comment down below if y'all want to know about the first time I did it in the car, because that shit was crazy. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, cool, this is normal to me. So I get in the back seat. Like, bring your ass back here, nigga, you know what's gonna go down. So he came back there and he stuck it in, y'all. And I'm telling you, He went probably 2-3 strokes, and we start seeing this flashlight. And I'm like, we parked, because the hotel parking lot was dark as fuck. Like, they didn't even have street lights in that bitch. So I'm like, why is it getting a light all of a sudden? Like, somebody has to be right there or focused. Somebody is watching us. Somebody is a pervert. Like, what's going on? So he was still trying to go ahead and get it in. I'm like, no, nigga, stop. Stop. So he finally stopped. And I'm like, nigga, something finna happen. Like, I can feel it in my soul. Something finna happen. Excuse my nail. Sorry. But anyway, so I'm like, nigga, something's finna fucking happen in this bitch. And he's like, nah, you just paranoid. And I'm like, alright, watch what the fuck I said. So I promise y'all, as soon as I climbed into the passenger seat from the back seat and he hurry up and get in the front seat, he still had his pants halfway down. And I think I had on like something that I could put on and take off real fast. Because I kind of knew where I was going there for. But anyway.
Yeah, and see, that's what the problem was.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I hurry up, put my clothes back on. And like I said, he had his clothes halfway on. And then next thing we know, the flashlight gets closer. And there's a knock on the fucking window. So I'm like, nigga, I told you some shit was finna go down. And he's like, maybe it's just my mama or whatever. Speaking of which, his mama came out there too and she caught us damn near, but I hurried up and stopped when I seen her coming outside.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
She almost caught me giving him head. That's neither here nor there.
Back to your regularly scheduled program.
Sorry. So yeah, I'm like, damn, tonight is the night we getting caught. Obviously, we not supposed to be doing this shit. Back to story. Somebody knocks on the window and whatnot, and he's like, it might be my mama again. And I'm like, nope, it's not your mama, because your mama ain't come out here with a flashlight. So he rolls it down a little bit. Probably like this much, and he's like, yeah, because he had tinted windows, like super tinted windows, so we really couldn't see nobody or whatever. So he rolls the window down, and it's the fucking police. It's a white officer and a black officer.
Dang!
They just standing at the car with the flashlights, like just looking. So you know how they be one on the passenger, one on the driver. So the other one, the black nigga is. No, the white nigga is on my side, and then the black nigga is on his side. So the black nigga is like, well, what are y'all doing out here? It's too late, and why are y'all out here in a car? And after he rolled down the window, remember I told y'all we were smoking, so it instantly smelled like weed when he opened up when he rolled down the window. So he's like, I smell marijuana in here, like, and y'all just sitting in this parking lot. I want to know what y'all got going on, like what y'all doing. So my ex was looking at him, and he was like, man, like trying to giggle with the nigga. He was trying to giggle with the nigga. He was like, you know what we was doing, like and I'm like, nigga, don't tell them what the fuck, because we can get a charge for that shit. And he was like, so the officer was like, okay, just looking at me, looking at him. So now I feel weird because there's 3 niggas looking at me, and y'all know what I was just doing, and now it's just, okay, my nerves is fucking bad at this point. So then y'all they're like, get out the car. Because, you know, if you don't know, if they smell any type of weed or feel like see some weed or anything illegal, they have the right to, you know, search your car without permission. So he's like, yeah, go ahead and get out the car so we can search. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my fucking God, my stomach is in knots. I'm finna shit down my pants leg.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, I'm fucking scared. So I'm just like sitting there trying to play it cool. I'm telling y'all, I was really shaking out in this bitch. I was shaking like I was cold, but it wasn't even cold at all. But I was teeth chattering and shit. So we got out the car one night, and then they're asking us all types of questions. What are y'all doing in the car? And I'm like, well, he just told y'all what we doing in the car. I guess they was trying to see if our answers was gonna switch up or whatnot. So then they was like, was y'all smoking in the car? And I was like, no, I wasn't smoking at all. Lying like a motherfucker, high as a motherfucker, still lying. But I was like, no, I wasn't smoking. And I was like, so my ex hops in a conversation, and he's like, no, she wasn't smoking. My car smelled like that because I smoked a few days ago. And they're like, sir. Well, we finna check and we finna see. And so I'm looking at him out the corner of my eyes, because I'm like, Lord, please don't let this nigga have no extra weed up in the car, because he already had the blunt rolled up. So I don't know if he had weed in that bitch or not. So I'm like, Lord, please don't let him have no weed up in this bitch. And he was like, So we sitting on the front of the hood because y'all know they put you on the front of the hood where all these lights in your face and shit because they want to make sure you don't run, don't do no crazy shit, and they just want to kind of intimidate you. So they had the lights on in our face and whatever. So the black officer was the one that was doing all the extra shit. Like, he was the one asking all the questions. The white nigga was basically just tagging along at this point. So we sitting on the front of the hood. And I'm telling y'all, for an hour, no exaggerating, a whole hour, they had us sitting on the fucking hood searching his car because they pulled the whole car together. I'm talking about took the seats out, took the fucking trunk apart. Like, they was taking the shit apart that I didn't even know you could fucking take apart. But they was looking for this weed and they just could not find no weed. So after we get to the hour point, I guess they just got tired, but they was like, we not finna let this be a waste of time. So these niggas goddamn found a little bitty piece of, it's like a little piece of weed, like the weed that probably fell out the blunt, because you know when you pack your blunt, little weed fall out. Like, that's how small it was. And they was like, okay, y'all finna go to jail. I started instantly sweating under my underarms. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm finna go to jail behind a nigga. And at this point, I was still kind of figuring out if I want to be with him. So I'm like, I'm finna go to jail for a nigga that I don't even know I want to be with. Like, this is too much. This is too fucking much. So at this point, they already had us like kind of separated because, you know, they don't want you to like be trying to set some shit up, talk about some shit. So they had us separated, and my ex jumps in and he's like, yeah, that's not her shit, that's my shit. And they're like, so you want to take the blame for it? And he's like, yeah, she don't have nothing to do with it. The black officer, he comes up to me and he's like, okay, well, your boyfriend decided that he wanted to take the charge for you. He said that it's not yours and you're free to go. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, I'm free to go, but at this point, I'm still in love with this nigga. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? You're taking my nigga to jail. Like, what's next? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take him to jail. You just gonna have to wait till he call you to get bailed out. And I'm like looking for more information because I ain't never had a nigga go to jail. I ain't never been in front of all this shit. I mean, I had a nigga in jail, but I was there when he went to jail and I didn't bail a nigga out. So this was all new to me or whatever. So I'm just sitting there at this point. So I called his mother on the line and I'm like, yeah, asshole is finna go to jail. And she's like, what you mean? I'm like, yeah, we out in the parking lot and they finna take this nigga to jail. So his mama come downstairs real fucking fast because they don't play none of that. Like, he was a mama's boy to the day he died. But anyway, so she came outside and she's asking the officer, what y'all taking him for? Please let him go. Please do all this. Like, how do we get him out of jail and all this stuff? The black officer is being rude as fuck to her. Like, he being rude to me. And he just like, well, you gonna have to wait till he call you. And she's like, so she started arguing with him because she's like, your attitude is not cutting it. And meanwhile, I'm still sitting here like, just looking. So the white officer, he's been standing in the cut not saying shit because I guess his shift was coming to an end because he pulled the black officer aside and was like, you sure you don't want to just let them go? It's only a little bit, like, we're gonna have to do a whole bunch of paperwork, which means we're gonna have to stay at the job for a couple hours. And the black officer was like, no, I'm taking them to jail. So I'm like, you should have listened to the white one. I never thought the white officer would have been cooler than the black officer, but whatever. So he puts him in the handcuffs or whatever, puts him in the back of the police car. And then he comes up to me and he's like, can I talk to you for a second? And I'm like, oh my God. So me and the black officer is talking and this nigga goes, you should not be with a man like that. He put you in a bad spot. And if you want to keep dealing with him, then that's on you. And he was basically trying to make me feel bad for being in love with this nigga. And he was like, you know, this is a sign that you should leave him alone. And I'm just like, nigga, fuck you, because I really didn't ask you for no relationship advice. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna stay with him. That's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him, head ass. I was like, yeah, I hear you, officer, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this man out of jail. And he was just looking like so disappointed because he was like, this dumbass bitch. I'm pretty sure that's what he was thinking. They gave me all his like stuff that he didn't want to take to the jail, and they pulled the fuck off. And this nigga is just looking in the back seat, just looking like a lost puppy, just sad as fuck, and I'm just emotional. I start crying and shit. I'm like, they taking my nigga to jail. His mom outside. She like, girl, she trying to console me, but then at the same time, she in her feelings too because her son just went to jail. And I'm like crying and shit. She's like, don't worry, we gonna figure it out. Go home and wait for him to call you because I'm sure he gonna call you first. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna keep you updated. She was like, please call me no matter what time. So like I told y'all, it was after midnight, but it had to be probably like 1, 2 at the latest. So I'm like, okay, crying. I'm driving home, eyes water, barely could see the fucking street because I'm just so distraught apparently. So then I get to the house and I'm just sitting in my car just crying. It's early in the motherfucking morning, late in the morning, however you want to motherfucking put it. And I'm sitting in that bitch crying my soul out.
Okay.
So I go in the house and I just go wake my mama up because I'm like, this is an emergency. And I'm like, mama, asshole went to jail. And she's like, what? And I explained to her the whole story and she's like, wow. And she's like, well, just try to calm down. He's going to contact you. We going to figure it out from there. Because, you know, it's late. Everybody still sleeps, so they really not trying to listen to what the fuck I got going on. So I'm like, okay. I try to go lay down. I lay down, and I'm just sitting there staring at the phone, waiting for the phone to ring. It didn't ring. It didn't ring. So the moment I dozed off to sleep, my phone rings, and it's this nigga. Oh, my God, can you please just get me out of jail? I need you to bail me out. And I'm like, nigga, I ain't never bailed a nigga out before. And he's like, well, please bail me out. And yeah, my dumb ass went to bail him out. If y'all want a story time on me bailing him out, comment down below because, yeah, that's a whole nother story in itself. A whole nother story in itself. But yeah, so that was the story about the time that the cops caught us having sex because, y'all, that shit was crazy. All I can say is, if y'all doing a do in a car, and basically don't do it in a car unless it's in your driveway or some shit. Unless you know ain't nobody gonna be around or gonna come up unexpected. Because them niggas came out the fucking woods with a flashlight, literally. So, yeah. That was that on that, y'all. Crazy as hell. Just like my life. Crazy as hell. But if you guys enjoyed that story, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Smack that like button because, I mean, why not? Y'all, for real, hit that like button because it really helps me more than y'all realize. And also, go ahead and subscribe now if you didn't in the beginning because if you're watching me and you haven't subscribed yet, what the fuck are you doing? Period. Also, don't forget to turn on your post notifications because YouTube don't let y'all know when I upload all the time and I need y'all to be on it. Like, I need y'all to be on it, so turn on and post notifications. I'm gonna go ahead and get out this thing and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, nail bugs.